From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, February the 28th, 2017. A total of 21 incidents of bomb threats against Jewish institutions took place yesterday. We initially reported yesterday to you on at least 8 Jewish community centers and schools that received phoned-in threats, but those numbers were adjusted later in the day yesterday, and the JCC Association of North America released the final tally last night, as well as a statement of outrage. Director of Strategic Performance at JCC Association, David Posner, said, "Anti-Semitism of this nature should not and must not be allowed to endure in our communities." He said the Justice Department, Homeland Security, the FBI, and the White House, alongside Congress and local officials, must speak out and speak out forcefully against this scourge of anti-Semitism impacting communities across the country. Posner said 13 JCCs and 8 Jewish day schools in Alabama, Delaware, Florida, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Virginia were targeted with false threats yesterday. All were evacuated, inspected, and returned to normal operations. The total number of called-in bomb threats since the beginning of the year is now 90, according to the JCCA, at 73 locations in 30 states and 1 Canadian province. And in Australia yesterday, the Sydney Jewish Museum was also evacuated, as was the neighboring New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, Jewish Communal Appeal, and United Israel Appeal after a bomb threat was received there. Local authorities were called in, and the buildings were deemed safe and returned to normal shortly after. Israel police began evacuating a number of homes in the Jewish settlement of Ofra in the West Bank today. Hundreds of protesters, mostly youngsters, gathered at the settlement where they clashed with Israeli officers, 11 of whom were lightly injured. 2 of the protesters were arrested. Israel's High Court ruled that 9 homes in Ofra are to be demolished by March the 8th because they were unknowingly built on private Palestinian-owned land. Demolitions are set to begin tomorrow. Israel's state comptroller released a report today on the 2014 Gaza war. In it, Yosef Shapira criticizes Israel's leaders for being unprepared. He says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, former Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon, and former IDF Chief of Staff Benny Gantz failed to update security cabinet ministers about the threat posed by terror group Hamas regarding the tunnels it had built to infiltrate Israel, leaving Israel inadequately prepared to deal with the threat. Netanyahu responded by saying that the IDF was successful in Gaza, that it had hit Hamas harder than ever before, and that the proof of that was in the relative quiet in southern Israel since the 2014 conflict. The Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency announced today that current chairman of the executive, Natan Sharansky, will lead the organization for an extra year. Sharansky's 4-year term ends in June. However, he said that recent developments, referring apparently to his efforts in reaching a compromise for an egalitarian prayer section at the Western Wall and other issues, convinced him to stay on. Former NBA star Amar'e Stoudemire was honored in Jerusalem on Sunday. The 6-time All-Star, who has played for the New York Knicks and Miami Heat, among other teams, signed a 2-year contract with Israel's Hapoel Jerusalem basketball club last year. Stoudemire was given Israel's Martin Luther King Jr. Award by Israel's Consul General in New York, Dani Dayan. Every Black History Month, the Jewish National Fund, the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York, and the State of Israel give out the award to individuals who embody Dr. King's spirit and ideals and who promote diversity and tolerance. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, February the 28th. At 7 o'clock, it's a new edition of Kosher Movies. At 7:30, a look at women in Jewish texts. At 8, it's more of our coverage from the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance Conference with Michal Tekochinsky of Bar-Ilan University and Penina Neuwirth of Tel Aviv Magistrate, and Rabba Sarah Hurwitz on writing commentaries from a female perspective. At 9, Mark Golub speaks with former 60 Minutes producer and author Abigail Pogrebin on L'chaim, and at 10, it's episode 3 of the award-winning Israeli series A Touch Away. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's In the News with Mark Golub. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, February the 28th, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.